Welcome back to Classic Hollywood, where we uncover the stories behind the stars who defined a golden era. Today's story is one that's bittersweet. She was the girl next door we all fell in love with on Gilligan's Island. But behind the wholesome smile of Dawn Wells, who played Mary Ann, was a life filled with heartbreak, financial struggles, and quiet strength. A story most fans never knew. Stay with us to the end, because the truth is emotional, inspiring, and ultimately unforgettable. The star behind Mary Ann. In the golden age of television, few characters captured America's heart quite like Mary Ann Summers, the wholesome, sun-kissed farm girl stranded on a deserted island in Gilligan's Island. It was 1964, and into this world stepped Dawn Wells, a young actress with sparkling eyes, a warm smile, and a gentle spirit that immediately set her apart. While others on the show embodied fantasy, drama, or glamour, Dawn brought something rare: authenticity. She wasn't just playing the girl next door, she was the girl next door, and viewers across the country felt it. Week after week, audiences tuned in, not just for the comedy and chaos of island life, but to see Mary Ann, the grounded voice of reason, the peacemaker, the heart of the group. As time passed, a lighthearted yet passionate debate grew among fans. Ginger or Mary Ann? The glamorous movie star with glitzy gowns and sultry stares? Or the sweet Kansas farm girl who baked pies and wore cut-off jeans with ease? Wells embraced the rivalry with good humor, often donning a shirt that read, "Ginger or Mary Ann? The ultimate dilemma." In interviews, she'd smile and say, "I always win." And you know what? She did. For millions, Mary Ann wasn't just a character. She was a comfort, a reminder of kindness, modesty, and sincerity in a world that often felt anything but. She embodied the values we long for: loyalty, humility, and quiet strength. But what about the woman behind the smile and the gingham dress? Who was Dawn Wells? Not the icon, but the individual. That's where her story becomes not just interesting, but deeply moving. Because behind the fame, the reruns, and the fan mail was a life filled with unexpected turns, moments of triumph, and chapters of profound personal challenge. A real-life story that was far more compelling than any sitcom script. Stay with us, because what happened after the cameras stopped rolling will surprise you, inspire you, and perhaps even change the way you see one of TV's most beloved stars. Beyond the Island. The woman behind the icon. Before the world knew her as Mary Ann, Dawn Wells was just a bright, ambitious girl from Reno, Nevada, raised in a hard-working family that believed in discipline, faith, and integrity. Her father, Joe Wells, ran a successful local construction company, Wells Cargo, no relation to the trailer company, contributing to Reno's post-war growth. Dawn was raised with a strong sense of values and a Midwestern-style work ethic, even though she was a Western girl through and through. In high school, she was a standout student, academic, driven, and curious. No one suspected that the quiet, focused teen from Reno High would soon charm an entire generation. At first, she didn't dream of Hollywood. She enrolled at Stevens College, a respected women's college in Missouri, and majored in chemistry. Yes, chemistry. She had the brains to match her beauty, and a future in science seemed likely. But something inside her stirred. An unshakable pull toward storytelling, toward the stage, toward expression. So she changed course, transferring to the University of Washington in Seattle, where she fully immersed herself in the school's acclaimed theater program. There, she wasn't just another pretty face. She was a rising star, studying acting, set design, costume construction, and stagecraft. She wanted to know it all, and she didn't just learn, she thrived. Professors noticed her poise. Classmates admired her dedication. It wasn't long before Hollywood took notice, too. In 1960, fresh from college, she hit the audition circuit in Los Angeles. Within just a few short years, she was cast in what would become her defining role. She was 25 years old when she stepped onto the set of Gilligan's Island. Just a girl from Reno, suddenly at the center of a national phenomenon. And yet, even as she became a pop culture icon, she remained grounded, soft-spoken, and endlessly kind. While others chased fame, Dawn carried herself with quiet class, and that humility stayed with her throughout her life, even when things got hard. And they did get hard. Private life, public struggles. While Gilligan's Island gave Dawn Wells worldwide recognition, her personal life remained quietly complex, far removed from the sunny shores of the show. In 1962, just 2 years before landing the role of Mary Ann, Dawn married Larry Rosen, a respected Hollywood talent agent. To many, it seemed like a perfect match. Two rising stars navigating the entertainment industry together. But behind the scenes, the marriage wasn't built to last. They had no children, and after just 5 years, it ended in divorce in 1967. Unlike many celebrities of the time, Dawn never chased tabloid headlines. There were no scandals, no bitter public feuds. She handled the divorce with the same quiet grace she was known for. She simply moved forward, dignified, poised, and determined. After the end of her marriage, Dawn poured herself into her work. She appeared in guest roles on television, starred in independent films, and began an extensive career on the theater circuit, performing in nearly 100 stage productions over the next several decades. She also gave back, teaching acting, speaking at colleges, and mentoring the next generation of performers. To those who knew her personally, she was more than a TV star. She was a teacher, a nurturer, a friend. But as the decades rolled on, something began to shift. Like many actors of her era, Dawn discovered that fame doesn't always guarantee financial security. The residuals from Gilligan's Island were minimal, due to how contracts were structured at the time, and opportunities in Hollywood began to slow. Behind the smile that charmed millions, she was quietly struggling. In 2018, those struggles became painfully public. A GoFundMe campaign was launched by a close friend to help cover medical costs after Dawn suffered a serious fall that left her in need of extended rehabilitation. The fundraiser revealed a sobering reality. Dawn was facing debt, mounting medical bills, and declining health, alone. It shocked fans. How could Mary Ann, beloved by generations, be left in such dire circumstances? But something beautiful happened. The world responded. Fans from around the globe donated generously, raising over $200,000. It was a stunning show of love, proof that even if the industry had moved on, her audience had not forgotten her. But the challenges didn't stop there. In 2020, court documents revealed that Dawn had been diagnosed with dementia. The sunny-spirited woman who once brought such joy was now in the grip of a heartbreaking disease, fading from the world she had lit up for so many years. Still, she fought to maintain her optimism. Just 1 week before her passing, she recorded a short video for fans, wishing them a happy new year. Smiling, full of warmth, still grateful. That would be her final message to the world. The final goodbye. On December 30th, 2020, as the world was still deep in the grip of the COVID-19 pandemic, a quiet but heartbreaking headline emerged. Dawn Wells had passed away. She was 82 years old. The cause? Complications from COVID-19. There were no family members at her bedside, no grand Hollywood farewell, no final press conference. She died in Los Angeles, far from the idyllic island that once made her a television legend, and even farther from the cozy home she had once cherished by the beach and in the mountains. And yet, her passing struck a chord around the world. Fans, friends, and former colleagues flooded social media with tributes. Not just about her talent, but about her kindness, her humility, her grace. In a world obsessed with celebrity drama, Dawn Wells had managed to remain genuinely beloved. Her death also marked something deeper, the end of an era. She had been one of the last surviving cast members of Gilligan's Island. With her gone, a piece of television history felt suddenly more distant, like a final page quietly turning in the storybook of classic Hollywood. But even in death, Dawn Wells' legacy remained unmistakably alive. Not just through reruns or memorabilia, but through the way she made people feel. She was, in many ways, exactly what she played. The kind-hearted woman who made the best of any situation. The one who stayed grounded while others chased the spotlight. The one who chose kindness, even when the world wasn't kind back. And that final video, recorded just days before her death, became her last gift to the fans. In it, she smiled, waved, and wished everyone a happy new year. There was no mention of pain, no hint of fear, just warmth, gratitude, and light. Even as her world was fading, she was still thinking of others, still trying to make us feel okay, still Marianne. The homes she left behind. When we think of Hollywood stars, we often imagine lavish estates in the hills, red carpet mansions dripping with excess. But Dawn Wells was never that kind of star. Her homes weren't about prestige, they were about peace. Reddington Shores, Florida, her coastal escape. In 1978, at the height of her post-Gilligan's Island career, Dawn made a quiet but telling decision. She bought a small beach cottage in Reddington Shores, Florida, a sleepy seaside town tucked along the Gulf of Mexico. No paparazzi, no marble fountains. Just palm trees, salt air, and simplicity. It wasn't long before she bought a second cottage just 2 miles away. One became a retreat, the other a family space, where her mother eventually moved in. Together, they created a place that was everything Hollywood wasn't. Modest, private, and healing. The main cottage was just 1,200 square feet, but it was rich in character. Restored terrazzo floors, a charming Jack and Jill bathroom, and a new boat lift out back connected her to the water she loved so deeply. And perhaps the most personal detail? Etched into a slab of the original driveway was Dawn Wells' signature, dated August 18, 1988. Not in gold, not in lights, just in concrete. A quiet, permanent mark of presence. A reminder she was here. She lived. She loved this place. Teton Valley, Idaho, a second home for her soul. While the beach gave her calm, it was Idaho that gave her something deeper. Solitude, purpose, a connection to nature. In the shadow of the majestic Teton Mountains, she built what she lovingly called Teton Wells Ranch. It wasn't a celebrity hideaway. It was a working retreat, a sanctuary for creativity. Each summer, she hosted a film actors boot camp, drawing aspiring performers from around the country. There, among the fields and rivers, they didn't just learn acting, they learned from a woman who had lived it all. Wells taught with passion and vulnerability, offering more than technique. She shared wisdom from decades of triumphs and trials. And when the workshops ended, she'd go fly fishing, casting her line into pristine waters, finding stillness where cameras couldn't follow. But even this haven wouldn't last. Over time, financial stress forced her to sell the ranch. It was heartbreaking. But even after it was gone, she returned often, drawn to the mountains, the silence, the memories. Idaho never left her, and she never truly left Idaho. These weren't just houses, they were chapters in her story. Reddington Shores was her coastal comfort. Teton Valley was her soul's retreat. And both were far more meaningful than any Hollywood penthouse could ever be. They were homes. Simple, personal, sacred. A life on stage and screen to the world, Dawn Wells would always be Marianne. But to Dawn herself, that was just one role in a lifetime of storytelling. After Gilligan's Island ended in 1967, many assumed her career had peaked. But they were wrong. Dawn wasn't just a sitcom actress, she was a serious performer, with range, discipline, and a deep love for the craft. Queen of the stage. In the decades that followed, she took her talent to where it all began, the theater. She starred in nearly 100 stage productions, touring across the country in comedies, dramas, and musicals. From Neil Simon's Chapter 2 to They're Playing Our Song, she proved again and again that she wasn't just a TV personality. She was a trained, nuanced actress who could own a stage. In 1985, she launched a one-woman show at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. It was personal, it was bold, it was Dawn, unfiltered and intimate, sharing her story with fans in her own words. Independent films and cult favorites. She also continued to take film roles, often in independent projects that showcased her versatility. From the haunting The Town That Dreaded Sundown, 1976, to the frontier drama Winterhawk, 1975, She moved far beyond the image of the smiling castaway. She played settlers, victims, mothers, survivors. Even into her 70s, Dawn stayed busy, starring in a dark comedy horror film called Silent but Deadly, a satire set in a retirement home. It was bizarre, hilarious, and yes, campy, but it showed her willingness to laugh at aging, to take risks, and to keep performing no matter her age. Author, mentor, and role model. In 1993, she co-authored Mary Ann's Gilligan's Island Cookbook, filled with stories, recipes, and cast memories, giving fans a behind-the-scenes taste of island life. Then in 2014, to mark the show's 50th anniversary, she published What Would Mary Ann Do? Part memoir, part self-help, part love letter to her character, the book framed Mary Ann's values: kindness, modesty, resilience, as timeless tools for navigating modern life. She wasn't selling nostalgia, she was sharing a philosophy, one rooted in decency, humility, and the belief that you didn't need to be glamorous to be powerful. Even as decades passed, Dawn Wells never stopped performing. She never stopped teaching. She never stopped trying new things. Her career may not have followed the traditional Hollywood arc, but it followed a more meaningful one. A life of purpose. A career of integrity. A legacy of genuine connection with audiences, with students, and with the simple joy of storytelling. Legacy of Mary Ann, pop culture icon, timeless role model. It's rare that a TV character lives on for generations, across decades, demographics, and changing trends. But Mary Ann Summers, brought to life by Dawn Wells, wasn't just a character. She became a symbol of goodness, approachability, and what it meant to be real in a world full of fantasy. While Gilligan's Island ran for just 3 seasons between 1964 and 1967, it became a syndication powerhouse, airing for decades in reruns across the globe. And in nearly every home, on every couch, someone was asking, Ginger or Mary Ann? It was a lighthearted debate, sure, but also one rooted in something deeper. Ginger was the Hollywood dream. Mary Ann was the every woman, kind, clever, loyal, and down-to-earth. She didn't need sequins to sparkle, and Dawn Wells embraced that identity with open arms. I always win. In interviews, Dawn often joked about the Ginger versus Mary Ann debate, famously saying, "You can go anywhere and say Ginger or Mary Ann. You don't even have to say what show. Everybody gets it, and I always win." And she was right. Fan mail, conventions, tributes. Mary Ann's appeal never faded. In fact, it only grew stronger as generations looked back on a time when television felt safe, joyful, and sincere. Music videos and MTV. Mary Ann in the 90s? In 1997, decades after the show ended, Dawn appeared in the music video for Mary Ann by the pop-punk band Squirt Gun. The song was a full-on tribute to her character, and the video skyrocketed into MTV's Alternative Top 40. Imagine that! A sitcom star from the 60s being embraced by punk rockers in the 90s? It wasn't ironic, it was pure admiration. She also made guest appearances on Baywatch, ALF, and countless reunion specials, always bringing back the heart and humor of the girl we remembered from the island. The auction that said everything in 2005, Dawn auctioned off Mary Ann's iconic gingham blouse and denim shorts. The outfit, instantly recognizable to millions, sold for over $20,000. Not because of the fabric, because of what it meant. To fans, it was a piece of their childhood, a memory made tangible. What would Mary Ann do? Perhaps the most beautiful piece of her legacy came in 2014, when Dawn released her book, What Would Mary Ann Do? A Guide to Life. It wasn't just a memoir, it was a reflection of values. Through Mary Ann's lens, she explored kindness, humility, resilience, and self-respect. She didn't preach, she connected, just like she always had. In a world constantly chasing what's next, Dawn Wells and Mary Ann reminded us to slow down, to be kind, to be genuine, to be the one who helps others even when no one's watching. Mary Ann wasn't just a character, she became an archetype, a role model, a pop culture compass, pointing to a simpler, more honest time. And Dawn Wells made that possible, every step of the way. Final reflections. The woman we thought we knew. In the world of classic television, it's easy to confuse the actor with the role. And in Dawn Wells' case, that confusion was almost welcome, because the woman we saw on screen as Marianne Summers, gentle, selfless, eternally optimistic, was not just a creation of a script. That woman was, in so many ways, Dawn herself. She didn't pretend to be humble. She was humble. She didn't just play sweet. She lived with sweetness. She wasn't interested in fame for fame's sake. She wanted to connect, to inspire, and to work, even when the world wasn't watching. She gave us her talent, her voice, her time, her heart, and when the spotlight faded, she didn't cling to it. She kept going, teaching, mentoring, caring, living simply and gracefully. Dawn Wells never needed the front page. Her story was written in quieter places, in a modest Florida beach house, etched into the cement of a driveway, on a ranch in Idaho surrounded by young actors and wild rivers, on 100 stages across America, under hot lights, far from the cameras. She passed away alone, but she was never forgotten. Because the real stars of classic Hollywood shine long after the final curtain. They shine in reruns. They shine in memory. They shine in the lives they touched, both on screen and off. So here's to Dawn Wells, to Marianne, to the girl next door who somehow felt like family, to the actress who showed us that kindness was never out of style, and to the woman whose quiet strength will echo through time. Thank you for joining us here on Classic Hollywood. If this story touched you, please like the video, comment with your memories of Dawn Wells, subscribe for more powerful stories.